Hi everyone, welcome to my channel Nikitinaknits. My name is Evgeniya, and in this video I'm so glad to speak about spring knitting pattern inspiration. My favorite season right now is here. Everything is blooming. I have the rise of energy, rise of inspiration. My knitting mojo is really up, and I have a lot of ideas what to knit, and I'm overall excited for the warm season. I don't know about you, but this is, as I already said, my favorite time of a year. I specifically love spring also for knitting time because it's so versatile. We can knit everything from sweaters to tees and blouses, and depending on the weather where you live, we can already remove our jackets and maybe knit something with more gentle and soft yarns that don't really like to be usually under the harsh jackets or coats in the winter time. And as usually, I briefly comment on the construction and on the recommended yarn. Would I go with this, or maybe would I choose something else? So grab your knitting, grab your favorite drink, in my case today some mint tea, and let's enjoy some of the gorgeous spring knitting patterns of 2026. The first pattern is actually something very fresh. It just came out in March of 2026, and I actually release every single month this type of videos, new knitting patterns of such months. So if you enjoy them, you can subscribe to my channel and get updated every single month on something that is freshly released. So Moreca, one of my favorite designers, she released this gorgeous cardigan. I found this cardigan very interesting because it is a cardigan, but at the same time it looks like a t-shirt because of the color and the buttons that are really high up next to your neck. And at the same time, depending on the yarn that you're choosing, it could be looking like a blouse. So if you choose the yarn content that has more silk in it, or viscose, or even alpaca and silk, it could even look like a silky blouse. So I really like the versatility of this piece, and I find it to be very suitable with many different outfits: trousers, casual jeans, high-waisted shorts or skirt. A lot of different outfits could look really beautiful with this cardigan, and also you can wear it open completely, or maybe open only until the V here at the bust, or closed completely just like in the sample. So you really choose what you prefer. I would wear this half open, so the buttons would be just like a V-neck. I really enjoy this look, and especially I like that the shoulder is not so dropped, but it's also not exactly on top of your seam, not on top of your shoulder. It's somewhere in the middle, which is the style of Moreca knit, and most of her patterns are in this way, which is something amazing. It's just the sweet spot, like a great middle point between an oversized drop shoulder and a very fitted garment that sometimes could feel too official or too tight, you know, or too put together for some people. And I just really like the entire look of it. And of course, this gorgeous pink color couldn't grab my attention more. I'm a fan of pink. Like, look at this. I love pink flowers, pink clothing. It should be correct type of pink. This pink from the sample of Moreca knit is just at the right limit. I cannot go more pink than that. The yarn that is recommended is two options actually, and I love it because one option is quite pricey and the second option is more affordable. By the way, the whole design features a DK weight pattern, but both mentioned yarns are more sport weight rather than DK. So I would only go for the sport weight, and I don't really think that the DK weight could suit this project. Maybe very light DK, but not more than that. So the first recommended option is the cashmere, 100% cashmere from Cardiff. I really love this yarn. If you decide to invest in it and to make yourself happy, I definitely recommend. I've knitted with this yarn. I will be knitting with this yarn. And the second option is Filcolana Saga, which is 100% lamb's wool from New Zealand, held together with a mohair. Let me check what type of mohair was that. The mohair is also from Filcolana Tilia. So I'm very interested to try Filcolana Saga because I know that New Zealand is producing very soft merino wool, one of the best in the world, and they have a specific breed of sheep. I think it's called Geelong sheep, and I really like the structure of Filcolana Saga. It has this very lofty, interesting texture to this, but when it's knit up in the stockinette, it still looks quite even and nice, and I do believe it's also quite lightweight. So I don't know how soft it is because I'm quite a sensitive person and I can't really handle handle most of the wools next to my neck. This is a high collar neck, so I don't really want it to irritate my neck. But let me know how is Filkulana Saga. I'm sure a lot of people already tried it, so I would like to read it in the comments. Regarding the mohair from Filkulana, I wouldn't go personally with this specific mohair because I'm sensitive. So if you're not sensitive, and especially if you tried similar mohairs like knitting for olive mohair, other mohairs that is similar in the softness, you can of course go with this. But I would go for way softer mohairs. Lang Mohair 21, Lang Mohair Lace, Pasquale Mohair Bliss. To be honest, I like both options so much that I don't really know which would I go with. If I want to go fancy and go with cashmere, I would go with this option. And if I want to be more on the practical side, more on a cheaper side, and just experience new textures and new yarns, I would go with Filkulana Saga and mohair. So both options are beautiful. So right now about the construction, it is knitted top down completely. You start at the back panel doing a lot of shaping, a lot of short rows, just like usual case with Moreca knits. She likes to shape her garments, which I truly appreciate. So you shape the neckline depth, you shape the increases for the back panel. After you're done with that, you put stitches on hold. Then need 2 panels to the underarms. Connect those panels all together with the back one, knit down, and then cast on stitches around the armhole, making a really great sleeve cap shaping and finishing your sleeve with the decreases. Obviously later you cast on stitches for the button band and for the collar. Really beautiful. I guess if I need this garment, I will learn a lot, and overall I just can't wait to have a chance to cast it on. We've got a lot of cardigans today. So the next one is Pure Mood Cardigan by BlueSquirrel Yoom. So this designer is a Korean designer, and I'm such a fan of Korean designs. I have entire playlists on my channel. If you're new here and you haven't seen that playlist, you can get a ton of inspiration, including a separate video about colorwork patterns, as well as tons of different patterns, sweaters, cardigans, vests. So the link is going to be also down below if you want to enjoy it. So this is another gorgeous pattern from one of my really loved designers. I haven't knit anything from her yet, but I have a lot on my list. So she released this gorgeous, very gentle, super feminine, super pure, this is the right word, pure cardigan that could be worn in any occasion. So at home, when you just want to cozy up in your bed before sleep, you can just put this on. Also, if you want to go on a walk or for a date, this cardigan could suit anything. So while it is a fingering weight project, you will get a lot of wear out of it because in my opinion, it is so versatile and fits so many different outfits as well. So trousers, shorts, skirts, anything. Not to mention how practical it is in terms of the weather. It doesn't take so much space in your bag when you want to take it with you. So when it's early morning and it's chilly, or late evening but it's hot during the daytime, which is a very casual thing for my location where I live, you can just constantly have it in your bag. It's not going to take a lot of space, but it is going to layer you up and warm you up when it's needed. So let's take a look at the details. We have the ribbed pattern, like this very thick ribs made of stockinette and the pearl stitches, and right on top of this stitch pattern we do have these flowers made of pearls that are very gentle, that are barely visible, but they add such a beautiful detail, and it looks so well put together. Everything that had to be there is there. In addition to that, we have a beautiful lace edging around the neckline, which is really beautiful and deep, and around the button band. We don't do the button band, we just do the cardigan back and forth, and then we do the lace detail. So what else to point out, how beautiful is the fit itself, because it looks fitted, but it's actually not fitted. If you look at the pictures when the person is staying like that, you can see that the armhole is not exactly under your armpit, which is amazing because if you sweat, you're not going to be sweating into the cardigan. So it is a slightly drop shoulder and you do have some space under the arm, but then because of the decrease on the waist, you have a feeling of a more fitted cardigan, which is insane. I really love this idea. So regarding the yarn, as usually, there is no specific recommended yarn by this designer because probably Korean, probably not available for most people. Maybe that's why she's not mentioning it on Ravelry, but it is mentioned that it is a fingering weight. However, it is knitted on 4mm needles. The gauge is 26 stitches per 10 centimeters, I guess, in the stitch pattern. So my guess, maybe it is a sport weight pattern. I don't know, but I don't think it's really fingering because you do knit it on 4mm needles. What I would do, I would just experiment with swatching, like heavy swatching before you start the project, because I think it's very important that the yarn that you pick is not really holding the shape much, because we do have a rib looking like stitch pattern, and if you're picking some yarn that is quite nicely twisted, or it is very shiny, greatly spun merino wool, any sort of yarns that do hold the shape really well, maybe it can shrink the cardigan a little bit, and it's going to be way more fitted than you expected. So if I were to pick the yarn, I would pick carded wools, cashmere, alpaca, silk, maybe silk with wool, 50-50 or 70-50, any sort of content that is not holding the ribbing. So I have actually 3 options for this project. The first one, I would like to swatch with Filcolana Prunilla. It is a sport weight yarn, but it is a Peruvian Highland wool. It does hold the shape just a bit, but not so much, just like a regular wool. So I don't know, but I would like to see the result, because Filcolana Prunilla is quite nice and it is a quite matte yarn. I really like the feeling of it. At the same time, it's quite affordable. Another option would be a bit more expensive, which is La Mana Como. I speak a lot about this yarn. I think it's a beautiful yarn, and that is 100% merino, and it's not really holding the shape much because it's a carded merino wool. It is more on the pricey side, but we don't need much for this project because we have a deep V and it is quite cropped and the waist is shaped, so I don't think we should spend a lot on this project if we choose to need it. And the last option that is really fancy in a way is Pasquale Cashmere 628. I have this yarn in my stash. I'm knitting a project with this and I cannot find words how much I'm in love with this. If you're watching my videos, of course you already know how much I'm in love with that yarn, but if you're new here, I truly suggest that you try Pasquale Cashmere if you haven't yet, because while it is on a quite a pricey side, I think it's completely worth it. And if you don't want to spend a lot, as I already said, because of small amount of yarn, this cardigan could work perfectly. So if you do want to go for Pasquale Cashmere, you have 10% discount if you buy through my link. The link is going to be listed down below, and it's not only about cashmere. Anything that you buy from Pasquale through my link, you get 10% discount applied automatically. So the construction is knitted top down. You need the back panel first, doing some shaping for sure. This design is not so explicit on every single detail on how it's knitted, so I do guess that you do some great amount of short rows as well, because it does sit really well on the body. So after you're done with the back panel, you're doing the front panels, probably doing also short rows in the shoulder, increasing for the neck. One panel done, second panel done, then connecting everything with the back panel together, and keep on knitting back and forth until you reach the bottom. Then one of the most interesting details for me is to learn how to make this beautiful lace edging. It looks so beautiful and so gentle, barely seen, but in combination with some very beautiful rounded pearl buttons. Oh, I just have goosebumps when I think about it. It's just so beautiful. The next one is Fortune Tea by Rita Koch. This is the blouse or the t-shirt. When it was released, I knew I'm going to be knitting this for sure. This is so beautiful. I have no words to describe it. The combination of lace pattern and this beautiful fluffy yarn choice and the color is just driving me crazy. I swear, it's really beautiful. I have again goosebumps when I'm speaking about it. It's just like, how can you create these beautiful things? You gotta be really inspired for that. I love absolutely everything about it, and I would like to have it in different colors and in different yarns. So this is already the piece that we can knit and enjoy both in springtime when it's already hot enough during the daytime, for example, and in summer, because the yarn choice is cotton mix. I will speak about it a bit later, but the whole t-shirt is already breathable enough as well because of the lace motif. And as I already said, depending on the weather, you can enjoy this for many months, and maybe even beginning of autumn. So you put your effort once. It is going to take some time because the stitch gauge is 31 stitch per 10 centimeters, but you're going to enjoy it a lot, I think. And of course, if you go for a different yarn choice, more warm choices and long sleeve, you can even wear this during the spring when it's cold, or maybe even during the winter under the jacket. So the yarn choice is Lana Grossa per Fortuna. This is the thread that contains of 2 structures. One pure structure, just like a plied yarn, and then on top of that we have these little hairs that then poke out from the garment. So the contents are 26% cotton and 24% polyester, and I guess that the cotton itself is the thread and the polyester is these little hairs that are wrapped around. So I don't know your relationships with polyester fiber or any sort of plastic fibers, but for this specific design, I could handle it. I don't really prefer that. I would for sure prefer a completely natural fiber, either as a plant-based fiber or animal-based fiber. But I was thinking, and I don't really have analogs for that. I don't really have anything in mind that could create the same look. And since we mostly have natural content, which is cotton, I can handle it. Per Fortuna from Lana Grossa is a summer yarn, and I know a lot of people who tried it and worn this a lot, and they have good reviews about it, and it's not so expensive. So So why not? I think it looks beautiful if you enjoy this type of look. If you don't enjoy this type of fluffy textures, of course you can go for something different. The yarn weight is mentioned DK weight, but I don't think it's a DK weight. I think DK weight is because of these fluffy things around the thread. The stitch gauge is 31 stitches, and we're knitting this on 3.5mm needles, so I do think it's more close to a sport weight yarn. And if you want some ideas for summer yarns, what to use, I did release actually 2 videos last year. Check those videos out. You might find a lot of different ideas for your spring knits and for your summer knits of different weights, fingering, sport, DK, whatever you want. I will be also leaving 2 links down below. And now about the construction. It is knitted bottom up. So there's some advantages to that, and I'm so happy to try it out because I do want to open up my doors to bottom up knitting. I did knit a bottom up cardigan and it was quite a good experience. So I like bottom up constructions because of the easier shaping. So the way you knit this blouse or the t-shirt, you start from the bottom in the round, you knit up to desired length. At this point, I would block the garment and see how much it grew, because then you cannot fix it, right? And this is a plant-based fiber that is very interesting fiber, so we don't know how it behaves. So I wouldn't be lazy to block it and see how it works out. After that, you split for 2 panels, the front panel and the back panel. When you're reaching the top, you're doing already shaping for the neckline, shaping for the shoulder slope, which is insane. I always appreciate shoulder slope shaping. After you're done with that, you're leaving stitches on hold and continue knitting the back panel, also reaching the top and doing some shaping and the neckline and the shoulder slopes. When you're done, you're just seaming the stitches together, and that creates a more sturdy feeling to the garment itself. And when you seam up your shoulders, you just do the sleeves. You cast on stitches and the armhole, and you do the short rows shaping with the sleeve cap and finishing your sleeve to desired length. Really beautiful, and I'm just looking forward to try this construction and enjoy this gorgeous tee. Now I'm truly right now sharing something from my heart because I'm so in love with this cardigan and I've been waiting the whole year to create this video. Last year I discovered it after I already created my spring knitting inspiration videos, and I was like, okay, next spring I'm going to speak about this cardigan, and finally I'm doing this. I just hope that you can enjoy it because it's so beautiful. Lales frame cardigan by JJOO knit. Tulips inside of the diamonds, inside of the romps. Gorgeous texture. Beautiful, super wearable cardigan that actually looks like a jacket, which is exactly what we need during the springtime when maybe we don't want to wear already our coats and our jackets, and it's a perfect weather for just wearing a very great sturdy knit on top. It is a sport weight project, but because of the texture and the stitch motif, it is going to be quite warm, and also depending on the fiber that you're choosing, of course. Overall, while we have a lot of details in this cardigan and you want to look at them, it doesn't look so overwhelming to the eye, and we do have quite a lot of moss stitch around, so it's not so overwhelming and not so complicated to knit, I guess. And I think any color that we choose, either neutral or slightly pink or slightly blue, slightly lavender, could look absolutely beautiful. I'm just in love. The suggestion is to use light fingering together with a lace, so any sort of light fingering with mohair that could work perfectly. I think this is what she was using. The whole garment is knit on 3.5mm needles, and we need to achieve the gauge of 20 stitches per 10 centimeters in moss stitch. What I have in mind right now is just knitting for olive merino, which is a light fingering yarn held together with any sort of mohair at your choice, either knitting for olive mohair or any other mohair that you prefer. I have absolutely nothing bad to say about this wonderful yarn, even though it is super popular and so many people knit with this, but there is a reason to that. It's really well certified, beautiful color selection, and it is quite affordable for the meterage that it provides. It is knitted bottom up in pieces and then sewn together. I think this is a perfect choice for these type of jackets or cardigans that are more like an outerwear rather than a next to skin wear. Because of the structure, just like I mentioned in the previous pattern, we have the seams that provide us the structure. But at the same time, there are some other benefits. First of all, we're learning something new when we try something new. Second is that the project becomes very, very portable. Look at this oversized big jacket, big cardigan. Imagine to constantly carry it around, and if you want to knit it during the springtime, it could be already too hot to constantly hold this whole thing on top of yourself. So I do appreciate the portability of these type of projects. You need one panel, you have only one panel with you. You don't need to carry the whole thing. So in this case, you need panels separately. First, right panel, left panel separately, back panel, then you block pieces to measurements, and then you seam them together, and the shoulders and the sides. After that, you cast on stitches on the armhole, shaping the sleeve cap with short rows and knitting the whole sleeve further in the round. And after you're done with that, you're casting on stitches for the beautiful button band of 2x2 rib with buttonholes and the 2x2 color as well. Looks very beautiful, very harmonious, and really well made. The next one is again by Korean designer. It's quite a Korean heavy video, but when it comes to summer or spring knits, for some reason my list is mainly filled with Korean designers. They do have some nice ideas about these type of styles, but I also think that their weather in Korea where they live is also dictating them these type of knits. So breathable, nice, something transitional. That's why my spring list is so much filled with Korean designs. So this is a Kailua top by Sallyknit. Boat neck blouse with slightly drop shoulder fit that allows your body to breathe a lot. And because of the lace motif, the holes actually that we have in the garment, and the whole fit of the blouse. I do have a store-bought blouse that is very similar to this one with a more crew neck construction, and I was wearing this during the entire summer, end of spring, and the beginning of autumn. I got so much wear out of that now I'm completely ready to invest my time into this type of knits. Because the reason why I bought it and not knitted this, because I didn't want to invest my time in it. Who knows if I'm going to be wearing it? But it comes out that these pieces are extremely wearable, and I was wearing this either with a top or with a t-shirt, so I can remove it if I want to. When you get hot and the breeze or the wind is coming, it literally cools you down so nicely. It feels amazing. I really like the combination of the feminine lace motif and the overall relaxed fit. So it is a perfect balance between everything, and this boat neck makes it even more beautiful. So the recommended yarn is a Korean yarn, a Nakyang yarn. Vadang. Vadang is 100% cotton, which is a lace weight. It is held double in this pattern. And I don't really like 100% cotton knits. I maybe like to wear them, but I don't like to knit them. So I have different suggestions for this project. One is completely plant-based, and another one is with a bit of wool in it. So the first option is Nakyang yarn, also Korean yarn, available in Europe actually. It is called Asa Taesa. I have it in my stash and I cannot wait to knit it. And I think this is the project that is perfect for that. That yarn is fingering or sport weight yarn. I think it's way more fingering. I swatched for this. It's not really a sport weight. And this pattern exactly calls for the fingering weight. So you hold this asset as a single, which is even more comfortable, and the contents of the yarn are 70% linen and 30% mercerized cotton. So you do get the sturdiness and the wearability of the linen, and the breathability, of course, and the moisture retention. But the 30% of mercerized cotton, which is way more shiny cotton that looks more like silk, is a different type of cotton, adds a lot of flexibility to the yarn, and in the way it even looks like there was some silk in this yarn. I really like the texture. So while you're knitting with this yarn, it does feel a little bit rough or like structured, but once you block it, it becomes super drapey. Not too drapey, just like viscose or silk, but drapey enough for you to enjoy it. You know, it's a special yarn. I do suggest to try it. It's not on the cheaper side for the plant-based fiber, but it's not like so expensive because it's a plant-based fiber. The second option contains a little bit of wool in it. If you are that type of person who does prefer some wool in your summer and spring knits, for the spring is perfect, but for summer it's already a personal choice. I do like some merino wool content in my summer knits. So I'm speaking about Pasquale Pinta, which is 60% virgin wool, extra fine, super soft merino wool with all of the certifications. So if you sweat in it, it's not going to release bad chemicals back into your skin. Then 20% silk and 20% rami. Rami is also a type of plant. So I felt Pinta in the yarn shop once. I didn't knit with this, but I felt 100% in love. I want to knit with this. It is a fingering weight, and the contents make me so curious to see how it knits up, how it holds up, and how it feels on the body. Overall, Pasquale is a very smart German company. They know what they're doing. So I'm just so curious to try this yarn for my summer knits. Remember, you do have 10% discount if you buy this through my link, and I'm already looking forward to also purchase it for my summer projects. So we're knitting on 3.5mm needles. Well, depends on your gauge, but we need to achieve 23 stitches in lace pattern per 10 centimeters. Regarding construction, there's not really much information on how it's knit, and overall I don't think this is the project for very beginners, because this is a Korean designer and I don't really see much detailed explanation in the description at least, so I don't know exactly what to expect from the English pattern. But I'm sure if you're intermediate knitter, it shouldn't be a problem, because some people knitted this in English and the reviews are great. I'm not afraid to knit this, but just not for beginners. So there's no information exactly how it's knit. I believe it should be top down somehow with short row shaping, or maybe bottom up. I truly don't know. So I would just go for it and dive into the pattern no matter what, because I do want to get this gorgeous blouse in my wardrobe. The next one is Arches Blouse by Haute Row. So the Arches Blouse is the continuation of her Arches series in a way. She released a sweater. So I spoke about that sweater in my March knitting patterns of 2025, new patterns from that month. If you want to take a look, the link is going to be also down below. It's a very nice video with a lot of patterns as well. So that sweater was really amazing and a lot of people enjoyed it. That's why she created this wonderful continuation, which is a very thin version, which is a blouse. What specifically attracted me with this blouse? First of all, the interesting details of increases and the shoulders. And the shoulders are these saddles that go dropping on top of your shoulder. I find it very beautiful, very fascinating, and very wearable, because again, you have space under your underarm. You're not sweating into the blouse, but you do have the view of a more tight-fitting blouse, which is always beautiful. At the same time, it looks very classic, elegant, and interesting, because the neckline is not exactly rounded, but it's not boat neck. It's just like a little scoop that looks very elegant as for me. And of course, depending on the yarn that you're choosing, but in this specific performance, it looks absolutely gorgeous. Also, the sleeves are straight, there are not many decreases and the sleeves, and they look a little bit open in the bottom. Everything just adds to this beautiful design, which is very minimalistic and wearable. The yarn recommended is Cardiff Prime Held Double. So Cardiff Prime is a new yarn released in 2025, and if you want to see the swatch of that yarn and all of the other new yarns that were released in 2025, you can see the whole video on that I created and released in the end of 2025. But basically, this is a lace weight yarn, 300 meters per 25 grams. You have silk and cashmere on top, so the silk thread and the cashmere fluff that is wrapped around. In this pattern is held double, so you create a feeling of a silk blouse with just cashmere fluff on top. Absolutely luxurious. I think absolutely worth it to invest in this type of blouse if you wish. I wouldn't maybe get a lot of wear out of that, because that blouse is going to be expensive, but this is a perfect blouse to go to Philharmonic, to go for a date, to go for a special event. I would wear it not under the jacket, because constant friction under the jacket maybe not the best for brushed cashmere. So this blouse is perfect for those times when you don't wear the jacket already and the cashmere warms you up, and the silk itself allows breathability and provides with a beautiful drape and shine to the whole garment. Absolutely wonderful. I would go with this yarn. So this variation of the saddle shoulder is quite interesting. This is a contiguous saddle shoulder when you increase for the saddles both in the back and in the front, and there's quite a few interesting manipulations. If you want, you can go and read the description, because it's going to be hard for me to explain it in detail. But what I want to say is that I truly want to try this and maybe learn quite a few new skills, specifically how to make this wonderful increases that create this beautiful twist. And the last one for today is Gal Sweater by Maria Ziablikova. So this is this sweater. I don't think it's a sweater, it's a blouse. It's a mohair blouse. It is also very breathable and it is very lacy, so I don't really feel like it's a sweater in my case. But it is a gorgeous mohair blouse that I've seen so many times on Instagram. Even before I started to knit, this sweater was on Pinterest. This blouse was on Pinterest. Probably the algorithm really knows what I like, and I was dreaming about having it. And then I started to knit. I was thinking for sure I'm going to be knitting this, and as you can see, I'm still without it. However, I do want to mention it here in this video because it's absolutely beautiful. So first of all, I want to say that there are two versions knitted already, and there are instructions for two versions, I guess. with a band or without. So I know a lot of people prefer the band or don't prefer it. I like both, really. I would just need both in different colors. One is with a band, another one is just free without it, completely straight. It is going to keep you warm, but it is still breathable, which is perfect for springtime. It is knitted with 2 strands of mohair, which is not the best for summer, but as I already said, it is a perfect transition piece. So springtime and beginning of autumn could be perfect. Wonderful, very carefully shaped boat neck, very beautiful open sleeves that don't have a lot of decreases in it, so you do have some air flowing through your arms. Of course, this gorgeous band that really makes up your waist and makes the body look way more like a bell-shaped option, or if you don't use the band, then it's just the free, completely straight blouse. And looking at this lace motif just makes me want to stare at it. It's so beautiful, so feminine. All I want to do is just to put it on and just walk on the beach in the evening or early morning. It would just feel like a feather on top of the skin, if you're not so sensitive to mohair. If you are sensitive to mohair, I do have a whole video of mohair substitutes on my channel. Check that video out if you want. The link is also down below. Many different ideas, different structures of yarns that could be also used for this type of blouse. The yarn, as I already said, is 2 strands of mohair. There are many different options mentioned. I just say my favorite mohair. As I already said, Pasquale Mohair Bliss, Lang Mohair 21, Lamana Premia, and Isir Mohair are one of my favorite mohairs. If speaking about hand-dyed mohairs, I really like Robledal de la Santa. I already have 2 project quantities in my stash, and it's really great, super soft mohair. It is a Spanish brand that is quite local to me, actually. So it is a raglan that is knitted bottom up. Very interesting. I've never tried it, and I really want to. So as I already said, there's some advantages to bottom up. I don't really know if there are advantages to bottom up in the raglan construction, because we do decreases just instead of the increases. So we in the waist still don't have any seams. So in this case, it's not really beneficial to the bottom up, but for some reason it is designed this way. And for just my interest and variability of my constructions that I'm using, I will be happy knitting this bottom up. So very beautiful, gentle, light like a feather knit, and of course I can't wait to be having this in my wardrobe. That was my last pattern I wanted to speak about, and I'm so excited. I feel pain in my cheeks because of how much I was smiling during this whole recording, and it just makes me so happy that there are so many designs available, so many talents are constantly producing such beautiful knits, and I'm personally never tired of this. I don't know how it works. You're constantly knitting, you're constantly looking at new patterns, and somehow you're not getting tired of it. It's unbelievable. So please let me know, first of all, what you're knitting on right now. Maybe I do get some inspiration from you. And second, what did you like from the list? Maybe you're going to knit something from the list. Thank you again very much for watching, for joining me here today, and I'm just hoping to see you soon in my next video.